Hi guys, welcome to the Knowledgist. Today we're going to be talking about computer storage devices. So I'm going to be telling you guys about USB drives, CD and DVD drives, and SD cards. So without further ado, let's begin. So before we begin, I need to actually tell you guys about what computer storage even is. So today, computers at their core are used to record and display information, but computers need to write all that information down. They read and write in ones and zeros called binary. Even if we type letters into the computer, the machine still records all of the information as binary into its memory and translates it back for us to read. The unit system for the amount of memory something takes up on the computer is organized into bytes. That is bytes with a Y, not with a I. Or else, with an I it would be literally like biting something. So USB drives actually come in three types. So there's USB 1.0, USB 2.0, then there's USB 3. There's also USB 3.1, but that's kind of a different USB called USB-C, and I'm going to be talking about that in a bit. Basically, USB 1 is the slowest and USB 3 is the fastest. What I mean by slowest and fastest is basically, so if you had an extremely fast USB, then transferring files would actually take less time than if you had a slow one. So let's say you're using USB 1 to transfer a file. If you were using USB 1, then maybe that file transfer would have taken like 10 seconds. But using USB 3, it might have taken 0, or basically it lowers the amount of time it takes to transfer files. If you have a computer that has ports that only support USB 2, but if you put in a USB 3 drive, then the files will be moved at the speed of USB 2. If the USB memory stick and the USB port are different versions, then the files will still transfer, but on the speed of whichever one is lower. Fun fact, the inside plastic of a USB 3 drive is most of the time blue, but on older USB 1 and USB 2 models, the internal plastic is usually black or gray most of the time. So USB 1, 2, and 3 are all called USB-A, or just USB. So there's actually a newer port that is on the most recent high-end computers called USB-C, and this is considered USB 3.1. USB-C is a newer port that has all of the same features as regular USB, but has a few benefits, including being able to transfer more power through the device. Another benefit of USB-C is that USB-C is actually reversible, so that means that there's never a top or a bottom. It just works both ways. All types of USB are something that's called non-volatile memory. This basically means that even if you turn off the computer and there's no power going into the USB, it's still going to keep the memory stored. This is opposed to volatile memory, which is called RAM, or random access memory. Basically, this means that if you turn off your computer, then all the memory that's stored on the RAM will be wiped. On to the next type of storage device. So I'm going to be talking about CDs and DVDs. Since they're extremely similar, it's just that they have a few technical differences. So first, I want to talk about how CDs and DVDs display information. In your computer, there's a laser that reads and writes on the reflective side of a CD. On the shiny side of a CD, there's a material that shifts darker when burned by the laser. This laser burns the CD's bottom to make tiny microscopic changes so that the computer can read them later. But if you have a CD that hasn't been completely filled to the brim with memory, you can actually see where your laser has been because that part of the CD actually shifts to a different color. So DVDs are pretty similar to CDs, but they have a few technical differences that don't really matter to the average consumer. Basically, a DVD holds more information than a CD, so if you have a chance, you should probably buy a DVD as opposed to a CD. So DVDs and CDs come in multiple types. Some CDs and DVDs can only have files written to them once, so then you can reread them later. So that means like you can watch your movies or like listen to your music multiple times, but you can't change your music or you can't add new scenes to your movie. But there's also other CDs and DVDs that are usually labeled RW. This means that they're rewritable. Basically, this means that you can use them like a USB drive and you can take them anywhere, you can put them back into your computer, and you can just add files, then remove files, and pretty much do whatever you want with them, just like a USB drive. But this is on the condition that you leave it unfinalized. But if you do finalize it, then it's just gonna act like you can't change any of the files. So make sure to leave it unfinalized if you want to use it like a USB drive. The problem with optical discs is they're pretty much obsolete in today's world. They're extremely fragile when you compare it to an SD card or a USB stick. You can also store way more data in other storage devices because they just come in much higher capacities. This SD card can hold 16 gigabytes, while this CD only holds 4.7 gigabytes. You can buy SD cards that hold 1 terabyte of data, or roughly 1000 gigabytes. I was only able to find an optical disc that can hold 25 gigs. Today, DVDs are mostly used in selling movies now, but even that's slowing down, since subscription streaming services like Netflix or HBO Max give you the ability to watch movies online, and you don't have to go to a brick-and-mortar store to get them. If you don't want to subscribe to a service, you can literally just rent or buy a movie online. All of these factors have led to DVDs and CDs becoming close to obsolete. On to the SD card. So SD cards are also known as SD drives, or even just SD. The SD in SD card stands for Secure Digital. It was called this because SD cards supported DRM, which is digital rights management, which is just copy protection against the music inside the SD card so that people couldn't distribute it later. So it was basically an anti-piracy measure. But during the same time, in the late 90s and early 2000s, digital cameras did not have an industry standard when it came to storing photos. For example, if you bought a camera but needed a new one, then chances are that both of your cameras would use different types of memory storage cards. Seeing this, multiple camera manufacturers started adopting SD as their memory card of choice to help out the consumer, and because SD cards can hold more data with a smaller form factor than the other types of memory sticks that were available at that time. Soon after this, many products started having SD card slots added to them. So guys, I just want to clarify something. So by this time, SD cards weren't being used primarily to hold music anymore. By now, they were pretty much being used to hold photos and files and pretty much anything. So SD card, like USB, has many iterations of them. So SD was the first version which could hold a max capacity of 2 gigabytes. The next version was called SDHC, or SD high capacity, which could hold up to 32 gigabytes. After that came SDXC, which could hold 2 terabytes of memory, which is huge. And now we have a new version that can hold up to 128 terabytes. For SDXC though, there are currently no available SD cards as of January 2021 to actually, have this feature enabled. So you can't have SD cards with 128 gigabytes just yet, but they're probably coming soon. Unlike USB, SD cards' multiple versions don't work the same way. If you have an SDXC card, it will not be read by a computer which only supports SDHC. But if you have an older card, then it will almost likely work on a newer card slot. I put a chart up on the screen, so if you're confused, you can just pause the video. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. But before I go, I just want to ask you guys to subscribe, like, and share. And guys, you might be just thinking, okay, he's just a YouTuber. He wants that number to go up. But for me, that number doesn't really matter since I'm not gaining anything from that number going up. Just if that number goes up, that means that more people are actually seeing these videos. And if more people see these videos, that means that more people are learning. And if more people learn, that's just better for everyone. So if you want more people to learn, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm gonna see you next time, guys. Bye!